Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to talk about MediatR Library and how you can implement its different features in an ASP.NET Core project. So it's going to be a couple of videos and hope you can find it useful. So first, let's talk about MediatR itself. It's made by Jim Bugard. Jim Bugard is the same person behind the AutoMapper library. So MediatR is in good hands already, and there are lots of people contributing to this project, very known people in .NET community, and lots of people are using it. It has lots of stars, lots of works, and lots of download. So everything good on the MediatR development side, and you can use it in your production in business projects and be sure that it will give you the results you expect. What MediatR does and when or where you should use it. Mediator implements Mediator Pattern in .NET project and makes using this pattern very easily. So you can have request, response, command and queries patterns in your project. You can send notification and work with events. And the only limitation is it works in process. So if you have a couple of services that are working separately in a distributed architecture in a microservice world, Mediator won't work. But if you have a larger project and you want to implement clean architecture with decoupled pieces, Mediator could really help. And for bigger projects, complex projects, domain-driven projects, Mediator works very well. So I have a very simple ASP.NET Core 5 project here. I choose a simple project because I want to emphasize on the MediatR part and how you can implement it. It is a CRUD application. I have a model called movie and it has an ID, name and year. We use code first with DB context here, and we have some pages: create, update, delete, edit, everything is here, and it is all already implemented. So if I start the project, I can save a movie, edit it, delete it, or index all the movies in database. And also I am using SQLite for my project, but because we are using Entity Framework, you can change the database anytime you want. Let's go to movies and create a new one. Let's create a movie like Fight Club. Doesn't have to be right. I just add some demo records here and you can edit them and it works. It is using Entity Framework, so very common stuff. So for now, let's add Mediator to our project and start working with it. Let's go to NuGet Package Manager and let's browse for MediatR. As Jim Bugard once said, as I could remember, MediatR, the R part is taken from Signal R, because it was a famous naming at the time, but I'm not sure if he regrets it now or not. But you can find find Mediator in Google very easily because of the naming, and I think that's a good thing. So we have different versions of MediatR. I'm just choosing the latest one, and let's install this. Also, you may want to use this dependency injection. It is also very useful in ASP.NET Core projects if you want to automatically inject MediatR services into your application, and I highly recommend it. Otherwise, you have to write a lot of boilerplate codes for yourself. So we have both packages installed in this project. Let me some clean up here. There are lots of packages that I'm not using in this project. I'm only using this SQLite or SQL framework, and remove Signal R and SQL Server here by others. Thank you. So we have Mediator installed. So MediatR has a wiki page that gives you the basic idea how to use the library, but I remember when I was first starting with MediatR, I had to search a lot on the web and check blog posts and videos to work my project out, but I guess it's a good way to start if you want to check it out. And here, to start using it in ASP.NET Core, because we installed the dependency injection package, we can go ahead and use this line of code. So let's go to Startup and add the injection here. I think I need to add using, and we are good. Let's build a project and make sure everything is all right. So with MediatR, you can implement in-process CQRS very easily. And let's start with a query and go to our index page. And in here, let's create a class and call it query, and my request is the interface I need to use. And let's create another class, and here I need to name it as my response, and this would be my response. So in my response class, which is the class that comes back as the result of my query, I need to have a list of movies. So let's have a property like this, and in my query I don't have any properties, so I can leave it as empty class. And now I need a handler. The handler specifies what is the query and what is the response. Let's rename it. I had a typo here. So I response I request handler is what I need to implement, and I have to specify the query, what comes in to my handler, and what goes out of it is response. And that's it, response. Yeah, I had a typo here too. And I need to implement this interface, And here it is better to use async, and later we use await inside the handler method. So in my handler I need to inject DB context, so let's go ahead and do it. Let's inject it here, and let's also create or generate constructor, and this is what I'm going to get from my database. And let's set our model to this one. Let's go with async code and await this one. I think I need to add a using here. So we have our model, and let's return new response and set the movie list to model, and that's our MediatR part. And next we need to do some cleanups. We don't need this one. We need to inject the Mediator interface, and let's generate the constructor. And in here I can use MediatR to send a request for a new query, and that's all I need. But it's good to have an await and a sync of task of I action result here. And next let's return the page, and I guess we get the response here, and the movie list can be assigned from response.movie_list. And that's it. We implemented the query pattern using MediatR, and everything looks good for now. Let's run the project and see if it is working. I start with the debugging because I am very confident that my project will work. So let's refresh this page, and yeah, we get the same result as before, but this time we are using MediatR. Let's set some breakpoints and see how it is working. So I have these breakpoints, and let's start. I'm waiting for my server to run, and let's go to movies again. Okay, the onGet method is running. We are going to send a query to Mediator, and Mediator finds that the response of that query lies in this handler, and instantiate this class for us. Then it goes through constructor part, and then the handle method runs. And now if we continue, we get back the result, and the response is the movie list. So we get the result at the end, and that's what we get. So when you use MediatR, you only need to inject the mediator in your classes, in your controllers, in your page, and Then you send a request to Mediator, and you specify which class you need to run. Then Mediator takes care of everything else. It finds the handler, generates the response, and sends you back the result. And that's pretty much what Mediator does for you when you're using MediatR, and that helps with decoupling the system, because now if you want some properties in your query, just need to add it here. If you want other results in your response, you need to add it here. And if your handler changes, you just change it here. Like you want to use Dapper for a part of your project, and you can inject Dapper and send back the result using Dapper. So it is highly decoupled from what you usually work on. You don't need to have services anymore. The Mediator part, this query handler and response, is your service now, and you can inject your repository pattern inside here, or unit of work inside here in the handler, but the service is much clearer this way. So without Mediator, usually you have services like this, that this one service does a lot of work, has lots of responsibilities. You do creating, querying, updating, and deleting at the same service. And this is just the interface. If I go to my implementation, you can see that I have my DB context, mapper, logger, and it has lots of code with different features, different responsibilities, and it's just coupled together. Everything is coupled together. So in this code, if for performance, I decide to query the results using Dapper, I need to inject Dapper here too. So I have my DB context and I have Dapper, and I'm not sure when to use Dapper, when to use Entity Framework. And if I work in a team, that many developers can see the method, and some of them may use Dapper, some of them may use Entity Framework, and I have to be aware of what I'm doing at all the time. But using Mediator, you separate the methods inside your services into two big categories. Is it a comment or is it a query? Comment is like creating and updating, and querying is when you want to just query data, see the result of database query. And using Mediator, separating and decoupling these big classes, big services is very easy. So here we created these classes, same place we have our index model, and I think it's a good design, because you anytime you need to change anything in your index page, the only place you have to go is this one file. You have the query, you have the response, you have the handler, and it is in the same file but totally decoupled, because we have different classes for each one. I can move these classes outside this class, but having them inside this index class and having them private, because we didn't set the public keyword here, they are all private. No one else in this project has access to these classes, and I can be sure that nothing goes wrong anywhere else if I change these classes here. So as long as this code is using only one place, it is a good practice to implement it in the same class as you are using. But if for any reason you don't like this design, you can just cut these classes and go to a different folder, different project even, and do something like this. Like I create an application folder, I add a folder for movies, and here I add a new class and name it query, and here I paste them again, and I can rename this query to, or can query request. Let's do something like this first, and let's use use all the using that we need. Also, I can use this cancellation token inside this async, so it's better now. And let's use this one. So we have all the code here, and let's rename it to request, and rename this query request to query, and let's make sure that we have changed everything. So I have a query class with request, handler, and response. All the patterns are here, and now I can go to new query and request, but I think I need to make them public now so that other classes could use them. So let's go to new query inside my and request. So we create a query request, and everything should work fine again. I have my browser up and running. Let's go to index page, refresh it, and we had no errors, no problem, and everything worked the way it's supposed to. So we just cleaned up our project. So index model looks a lot more lighter now, and that's all the thing that you need when you want to query the list of movies in your database. So that's for the query part. Next, we will talk about creating a command and creating a movie using Mediator commands, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the next video. So thanks for watching. See you soon.